Hi everyone, it's 1st of April. I've come down the plot just to have a general look and carry on with a bit of prep work. You can see the beds aren't too bad, to be honest. I was down here last week when I uncovered whatever needed uncovering, and then just give it a bit of a rake through. So there's a few weeds that are sort of tapped back in again, so it's just a case of disturbing them to give them a bit of a hard time before they can get tapped right in. Hopefully a bit of frost will come and nip them off. It just disturbs the surface a little bit. I'm not digging in deep or anything. So different things you can use. I've got like a little, I don't know what it's called, like a little arrowhead sort of hoe, sort of sharp blade. You can just sort of travel just under the surface with that. It just keeps knocking any weed seeds, well, seedlings, anything that's sort of sprouting, just anything to make them give up, really. Even though the weeds never give up, but you can just try and get the upper hand. And also, if there's any nasties, any leather jackets just below the surface, hopefully give them a nip. Rakes just as good. Just get a normal rake, just disturb like the top inch. If you want to go a little deeper, 3-prong cultivator. I tend to not, just kind of under its own weight on this, really. I don't want to be gouging down in the bed because there could be seeds of all sorts lower down, which I don't want to bring to the top. That's the whole idea of being no dig, is least soil disturbance the better. It's just that top area, which will dry out on the sunny days, but an inch 2 down, there's plenty of moisture still, and you've not disturbed it. So there's still all the, I suppose the organic life down there. The bugs and everything. Both beneficial and nuisance. But you can't have everything. Not always supposed to be easy. So anyway, I'm going to show you how to do these drinking straw things, because a couple of comments in the last video were asking me to go a bit more in depth. I have done it previously. I've no seedlings to show you actually to do it with, so I'll just use like a small sort of cane or a stick or something to sort of simulate a plant stem. So I'll do that first, and then we'll have a look around. Right, I'll just flatten out the ground a little bit just to give us a bit of an area to show. It's just started spitting with rain as well. So I've got 2 just normal little plank canes. I've got one a little bit thicker than the other one. So we'll start off, little thin one in. Normal drinking straw, little flexy ones. You get bigger ones if you want. The idea is sort of roughly work out how much you need, cut it off, and then along the length of it, cut down it. And the idea is to open it out like so, place it around your plant stem, close it round, and then just push it down. I tend to push it down till I feel it hit the root ball. It's pretty much that area there that's prone for attack, from the leather jackets and that. And then you say, well, what if I've got a thicker cane, well, a thicker plant stem, I can't put a straw around. So you can put one round, and if it's still got a gap on it, because I'll try and gnaw in a little gap, you simply just get another one, cut along it again, lay that round it, so it's completely closed off all that area. Nothing will attack it there. I've never lost any of the brassicas when I've done this to them. But if I planted them straight out in this, I would lose the majority of them. Because I'd just come down and they'd be sheared off. It happens to the lettuce and a lot of other stuff, but I can't really seem to do it on lettuce because there isn't enough stem. So I just have to accept some losses, but my brassicas, I'd rather not lose. Yes, it's a bit of a faff, but it's a small price to pay for not losing all your plants, well, the vast majority of them anyway. So it's as simple as that, really. I tend to try and do them when they're in the seedling stage before they go out, before I transplant them. because it makes it less hassle to do here. But if I have to do it here, I do it here. It's no big deal. I tend to do that with all my brassicas, and anything I can put, you know, any other veg that's got a bit of a stem that's prone to attack that you can do it to. Yeah, it's just a tip I got off an old chap, years ago, and I thought I'll try it. So I thought he was having a bit of a laugh at first, but it's absolutely pretty much 100%. I don't think I've ever lost one. You know, if you pushed it down too far like that, and the soil came round it, chances are they come across it in the dark and nibble it off, because a lot of your crop's under nets, a lot of the birds can't get down. And the problem is, the leather jackets under there, they hatch into daddy long legs, and if they're trapped under a fine net, they'll breed and drop their eggs straight back in. That's just a problem with netting and trying to protect everything, but it's just the way Mother Nature goes. It will always try and, you know, be against you in some way, so you just have to try and do your best and come up with things that will give you the upper hand with most things. So that's it for the drinking straws. You know, if you have any problems with leather jackets, if you do that to your brassicas, any of the brassica family, you will not have any problems. So it's just a little tip I thought I'd share, you know, and I have shared it before, but it's just some people asked in my last video to go in, you know, a bit more in depth into it, so that's the basic principle of it. Okay, we'll have a bit of a walk around now. Try and keep the camera as steady as I can. I know some videos I haven't got the steadiest of footage, but like I say, I'm not a cameraman or anything. So these are the blueberries. They all seem to be surviving. You know, they're getting the buds on now. This is the sort of most sparse one out of all of them. But yeah, I need to put some sulphur chips or some sulphur powder around them and then mulch them up, just to acidify the soil a little bit, just to give them that little boost. As I say, it keeps coming a little bit warm, and then we're getting hard frost, so it's going to upset a lot of things. This has got plenty of buds on it, so I just need to keep me out for anything that looks a bit sort of dodgy, just get rid of it. But I'm expecting a reasonable crop. You know, you look at that, you think, oh, that's bad disease, but it's not. It's where a bird's been sat on top of my fruit cage and just crapped on it, basically, which they do. So right, we'll have a look elsewhere now. Raspberry canes, nothing really coming up from the base. You know, a couple have started, but like I say, I'll see how these go. So I wasn't going to do raspberries here, but I thought, you know what, I'll give it another go. This bed, celeriac, is I've got to put some stuff in that today. I've got some of the strawberry runners that I pulled off. I might put them along the front edge, just somewhere to put them for this year until I sort something out. I might throw some peas in there today as well. A little bit cold, but I'll cover them up, so they'll probably be okay, because after all, it's 1st of April. These strawberries are starting to sort of come back. I'm not expecting much off these this year, because they've been a bit hit and miss these last few years, because the ground's that bad and it's wet, and there's probably bugs on them roots. So I need to sort of create a new strawberry bed at some point and then cage it, which will probably end up being here somewhere, maybe that bed. I just don't know. This fruit area originally I was going to cage the whole lot, but I got as far as that, and it's an ongoing project, as most allotments are. Asparagus, no signs of anything yet, still early, so just stacked a load of wood on top of it just to help dry it out a bit. So all beds, 3 beds here. I just need to give them a quick scuff with the rake again today. And then I've got my brassicas that were over winter. I don't think I'm going to get any of the cauliflowers, there isn't time, I'll need this bed cleared before then. But I've got some greens I can harvest for my tortoise, you know, some of them are quite nice, and obviously some are just fit for the compost heap. But I mean, these cabbages, I think they were tundra, these, that one there, this one here. They've got hearts on, so they'll be up for taking soon, or now, really. That was where the garlic was last year, that's uncovered. So last year I grew garlic, and I think it was the Aquil's broccoli, or Calabrese in there. If you wonder why I put canes up everywhere with cans on, I do have sort of like a resident mole and things that dig and sort of live in this bed, and a bit of rattling tends to get rid of them after a while. So because it's not worse than when you put stuff in and it's all uprooted all the time and air gets to the roots and dries them out, and it just slows the whole process of growing down. You have to keep coming down and treading the ground down. This here, all this stuff is, it's all the mustard that I sowed in it last year, and I just trimmed it down, and the bulk of the sweet corn plants were on here as well actually. I just pulled the cover off last week. I'm not going to bother picking all this off, it's only going to rot down, it's not going to do any harm at all. So I think the garlic is going to go in this bed. I'm hoping to plant it today, but I've forgotten to bring my bulb planter, so I'll either leave it for another day or I'll just see what happens if I can find a trowel. I don't even know if I've got a trowel here with me, to be honest, but never mind, we'll sort something out. Potato bed, as I say, I just manured on top of it, so it's just a case of I'll give it another knockabout today with just a little 3-prong cultivator, just to try and break it up a bit more, because obviously it gets wet and frost hits it and it breaks it up a bit more, and then over the season it can just break down. I'm not going to bother digging it over because it is wet under there, so it's just back-breaking work to dig it and then dig it again in a couple of weeks to plant potatoes. So I'm just going to go with it. First time in a long time, I'm just going to dig the trenches, plant my spuds, and it's all going to get turned over when I harvest the spuds. You know, because if you have a bad year with blight, it's all that hard work. It's a bit of a kick in the teeth, to be honest. So I thought I'll just keep it simple. So it is pretty much a no-dig allotment this year, apart from planting the spuds and digging them up. That's the only labour-intensive part. So I'll get on with a couple of jobs. Just filling these. Got some bags of compost, old spent stuff, and some like claggy stuff from the back garden, just to fill that bed up. I might do some more sunflowers this year since I've built that frame. I've got some seeds left, so I might just bung them in and then just put them in, just see how they go. I've had also some damage to my fence. The landowner lets his goats roam around and they tend to start gouging through your fence, so I've found a bit of stuff there just to cover the hole up. There's one down the other end. They just catch it with the horns and that and they just rip it. So there's a few plots on here that are like that. Obviously there's a lot of abandoned plots now on here, but they're supposed to be clearing the grounds up to sort of be a bit more appealing to more newcomers. Otherwise nobody's going to take a plot on that's absolutely face high in weeds. It's just very daunting. Right, so I'll get on with some jobs and I'll put the camera back on in a bit. Okay, I'm just going to fill this bed up. I found a bag with some straw in it that was left over from when I covered my strawberries last year, so that's gone in. Got some of the old sunflower stems, they're going in. It doesn't have to be fresh, anything special, any junk you've got knocking around really, even weeds or anything like that, because I'm going to cover it. So got a load of cardboard here. It's kind of like a bit lasagna again, I suppose, but some old cardboard off drinks cans and that, they're kind of alright for this. So I'm not going to do anything too fancy because, like I say, it's the idea of this is to save any of the old weeds from down below or whatever there could be from coming up. Most of you will know I absolutely cannot stand weeding. I don't find, some people find it therapeutic. I don't at all. I suppose it's okay if you've got quite a bit of time, but I don't have the time to come down and weed. But there is an element of weeding you have to do. So it's a case of cover what you can. I know some people will be like, there's ink on that, but most inks these days are soya based, so completely organic, and the worms love a bit of cardboard. So yeah, anything you got knocking about, even brassica stems, anything chunky like that, grass clippings, leaves, any old junk, kitchen waste, just lob it in. You just lay the cardboard as thick as you like, really. Kind of recycling in a way, I suppose, but just not into cardboard again. But it'll serve its purpose. I say this is pretty. I've had it in one of the water butts, so it's pretty wet. What you gotta do, if you've got some cardboard, but you just take the sellotape off it, really. I mean, a few metal staples won't cause any great harm. Just careful in the future if you're going to be rummaging about in it at all, or digging it, because you don't want to be getting a staple stuck in your hand, a rusty one anyway. So it's up to you if you want to pick them out. I tend to just try and use a cardboard if it hasn't got any of that sort of stuff in it. If it's got a little bit of sellotape on it, I'll peel it off. If it's got loads on it, I don't bother. I just don't use that. I mean, you could plant straight through this cardboard if you want, but as long as it takes a little while for it to stick to the ground. I've not wet the straw, you know, because this cardboard's pretty wet and the ground underneath will be quite wet, so I should imagine the straw will start to get wet in no time at all. So I'm just going to get me back of my rake and just make sure it's all pretty tampered down. You could walk on it if you wanted to, but it's just to prevent hooking stuff up when you're raking, because this will take a little while to break down. You know, this is a good time if you've got grass clippings, because that will all help it break down with nitrogen. But I don't have grass clippings at the moment, and this is just to sort of suppress any of the old weeds or whatever junk's in the soil below, because it has been dug. When I dug the celeriac out, I turned it over because it was full of weeds. It was just a quick sort of makeshift bed, this was, when I originally did it, because it used to have originally like a small bed down the middle of it for my raspberries, and I just sort of built it bigger, and whatever I could get my hands on got thrown around it. So that's like that. Get some lumpy horrible compost. It's something I've done like, but it's, I don't know, it's not brilliant. It is very wet and claggy. I think it's just what I used in it. I think I had some like animal bedding, so back to nature, it's quite paper based. So I put it in its own compost bin last year, see if it'll dry out a bit, but it hasn't, so I'll let the worms come up and distribute it for me. I mean, it's quite lumpy. It sticks to the spade, and it's a stainless steel spade, you know. There's all sorts of bits of stuff in it. There'll be weeds in this and all that, but it's had a bit of garden waste in it as well. So it's not ideal compost. It doesn't drain very well, but I'm sure in time it'll be just fine. Try and break it up a bit. Bits of grit in it as well, if I look at it, a bit of grit sand. So it all goes in, it all helps. Right, tip the rest of that in now. And then just generally knock it about a bit and see how much we've managed to get on it. So I'm using the back of the rake, because I don't want to be hooking it up. So if I can use the back of the rake for the most of it, That's not so bad. A few bits of junk in it, a bit of wood and that. You know, as you knock it about, some of it will break up. So we rake over now and just try and bring the lumpier stuff up to the top, but not the cardboard, hopefully. You know, it does happen sometimes, you just gouge in and pull a chunk up. Big stone there, don't want that. I've got a load more of this compost at home. I've probably got about half a ton of it. But because it's not great, I'll probably just keep it aside just for doing things like this. You know, because like I said, there probably will be some weed seeds in this, because it was sat uncovered for a bit and weed seeds will have got on it. So you don't have to worry about covering all the cardboard completely. It should allow a bit of time for the season to get going, and I just have to deal with whatever weeds are coming up from the top and not from what's below, hence less time weeding, and I'm all for that. Like I say, I wouldn't mind if I was retired or something. I could pop down the plot in the sunshine whenever that happens and just casually weed at my own pace, really. But to be honest, I don't do much weeding. Well, I went no dig, you know, and it does work. You know, because all the forests do okay and they don't get disturbed too much. They just sort themselves out, grow, drop leaves and feed. Process repeats again and again. So I'm just sort of mimicking that by just adding a layer on top. The good thing about forest is a lot of it's fungal based, so that's where leaves are good. Get some fungus going on there, mycelium, whatever it's called. Yeah, it's not too bad. Go with that. And then just try and tap it down a bit without picking it up, so it's quite sticky. I don't think I'll bother doing that. It's going to end up lifting more up, I think. But yeah, overall that'll do. That's kind of covered. Yeah, I could add more to it, but I ain't got any more. I've got a little bit more. But yeah, I'll shove this other bag on. I think it's more sandy, this stuff. It's a bit more proper. Old seed trays, and probably out my carrot box as well, this, when I re-comb my holes out. It's got quite a bit of sand in it. starts to look a bit more like what you see on the telly. Nice fine soil. Clumping it there. There's even a carrot in it. Compost bin. Well, in that general direction. I would dig out some of my compost, but compost heaps tend to be home for rats and mice and stuff, so it's too cold today. I don't fancy Mr. Ratty jumping out again, wherever he is. Not so far away though. I'll leave him be. If you're going to pile this up with leaves, I'd take it twice the height in leaves, because they break down to next to nothing, but they are really good. The best growing years have been when I've used a lot of leaves. It's just finding somewhere to source a good amount in one hit. There's almost enough here to give it a light covering. Worms won't necessarily come up into this because it's of no use to them. There's nothing nutritional in it, but they will travel through it occasionally. And in between the layers with the cardboard, isn't that? And every time they do that, kind of mix it. Like a little workforce of mini diggers down there doing it for you. Too bad. Should be able to tamp that down now because it's a bit dry. Yeah. So you could walk on it just to force settle it a bit. Well, you know, about the looks of this guy, it's not going to be long. We're going to have a couple of days of rain probably, so that'll all put a bit of weight on it. You know, you spend the time making a bed like this, but it pays off because I'm not going to be sat here hoeing it and weeding it every week through the year. Well, that's the plan anyway. It just takes a bit of air out of it from underneath until everything starts to soak up water and bind together. And then next year you'll not recognise any of that under there. It'll just be nice light fluffy soils. It's pretty much exactly what my raised beds are made out of, which is just general whatever you can find that'll break down and just lob it in. Some things will be better than others, but when you think of it, it's not actually the soil in your raised beds, it's stuff you've made. It's not perfectly level or anything like that, but it is good enough for me. So that's that done. So I might put raw peas in that. Yeah, So I'll just get a piece of wood for a guide and do that. Oh, it's just a bit too long. Nip a bit off the end of that, I think. A super blunt wood saw. God. Right. Yeah, like that. And then try and sneak behind it now, get me help. And try pull this back. Now these are actually going to sit right on top of that cardboard. Now because it's cold, they might rot off, but I've got some at home anyway. I've got some seeds here with me, so I thought, well, instead of the bed sat here doing now, I might as well see if I can get anything growing. Right, get that bit of wood out of the way now. Just want to get a thin layer actually, just to, otherwise they'll all probably roll about everywhere. Just in case of just stroking a bit of compost off this back edge here. Not really covering the cardboard, it's just to stop the peas rolling all over the place when I drop them in. So it's a bit shallow here, but that'll sink. Cardboard, as long as the cardboard's not laying on top of them, be okay. Right, so I get my seeds. Took the old water out of them. These are my own seeds, these ones actually. I just slung them in. They've not really been soaking long at all, probably about an hour. So that's the case of, I'm going to spread them too thickly. I'm not going to bother with the 5 dice. And if they look a bit too dense, I'm just going to thin them out. Just sort of aim where it kind of looks like there's less seeds, just to sort of give it an evenish sort of covering. So these are Hurst green shaft. Right, let's simply get my hoe again and knock this stuff back over. You know, so about some of them about ½ inch down, some maybe an inch. As long as the mice don't get them, I'm going to see I've got some here to try and cover them up a bit, protect them from the old Mickey Mouses and the birds, of course, because they'll gladly have them. Just stood on my rake there, got a clout in the back. Just covering them all so I can't see any. And with them being peas, they will, if they germinate and don't rot, they will give nitrogen to the bed, which will help break down the cardboard and straw. Right, now I've got to see if I've got something to cover them with. Look it out. Found some chicken whey. Stabbing my hands. There, a mangled one here, but is there enough? I've got a little bit more if I need it. A little bit for the middle now. This must be the same stuff I was using last year. I've actually got a small bit here. Is it enough or? Yeah, that'll cover it. Just need to get that over the middle there really. Pull that bit in first. Squeeze some of this a bit higher. Make sure it's just tucked into the compost a little. Hopefully I'll try and cover the ends up with something. We might be able to get through these holes, but I think a lot of the time it's birds that cause a lot of problems. I usually find once the peas are split, the mice aren't interested in them. But if anything really wants them enough, they'll get them. All you do is you've got to do it again. Get that corner stayed down. Push that down by the bed. That's tight up to that end actually, you don't need to cover that end. What can I put at this end? Sure I'll have some bit of junk knocking around. Let's have a look. Well, I've cut a wood. It's been cut at a weird angle, probably for something. It's not ideal actually being cut at an angle, but we'll go with it. I'll just put a little bit of wood in there. Use a clod of soil over it, just to fill it all in. There. They're done. Now I might get rid of some of these strawberries now. So I'll get these planted after I've had a brew. Right, I'm going to put some of this garlic in. They're going to end up roughly 6 to 8 inches apart each way. I'd usually use my bulb planter when I've got them in pots like this. There's plenty of roots on them. So I'm just kind of starting about 4 inches in from the corner of the bed. Variety is Solent White. Just a case of making a hole big enough, because I'm going to plant them slightly deeper than what they are, because they're obviously only shallow in these pots. As simple as bob it in, fill around it, firm it down. Next one about there. So I've got a net made up that I'm going to drop down over it afterwards, and that'll just stop anything from chewing the tops until they get a bit more robust. So last year I had lettuce and sweet corn in this bed. The garlic was in the same bed that way. I think they're a similar spacing. I've got 40 over here, and I've not got enough to fill this bed. Apart from I've got some in the other tray. I'll do them another day. So I'm just going to put what I've got in here, and that'll do for today, I think. So it's as easy as that. Just repeat the process until your bed's sort of full. So that's garlic for this year, 2018. So thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.